Even the game was frustrated that it's bugged out. Well, there goes my playthrough of Avowed. Great job, Obsidian. Obsidian Entertainment, a studio that is known for its creativity, but they're also known for making complete buggy messes. Does anyone remember how bad Fallout New Vegas was when it launched? Because I do, and it was nearly unplayable. And as you've seen here, they still haven't made that much of an improvement. But there are some good things about Avowed. It's not the best game, and it's not the worst, so let's take a look at it in this review. Avowed uses Unreal Engine 5, and there are moments when this game truly looks great. But there are also some major issues with it. If you're playing on Xbox, you are forced into playing in the 30 FPS mode if you don't have a VRR display. And even then, I don't recommend it because the game stutters. It has a ton of shimmering and pixel crawl. Now, a lot of games do have this now because of TAA, but the main issue here is that there are a lot of special effects that just don't work good with it. The game has these ghost-like enemies and NPCs, and when they move, it's like a constant trailing effect. Kinda how Grand Theft Auto San Andreas and Vice City had that effect back on PS2. It just doesn't look good. The performance is not great in either version, but it is mostly passable at 30 frames a second. But the game still has some hardcore stutter at times, and this is on Xbox, not PC where it's common. You can be running along and then the game hitches, and the next thing you know you're about 10 steps further away than what you were. I have seen NPCs stuttering while walking, and not in the usual way where you have a lower frame rate at a distance. This is when they're close to you, but once again, this is Obsidian, and they're every bit as bad as Bethesda when it comes to bugs. Visually though, the game is not all bad. The environments are beautiful, except when they overuse the haze effect. Nanite and Lumen create a beautiful world here. Everything in the game is extremely detailed. The indoor segments are where the game shines though with its unique architecture. Seeing these ancient ruins and underground caverns lit up by glowing mushrooms and natural light are by far the best looking moments of the game. But all of that detail that UE5 can create doesn't matter if the game is low resolution. You lose the art and presentation. I truly believe that something with lower polygons and simpler lighting could have created a much more dramatic appearance with great performance. And I can only imagine that if you're playing this game on a high-end PC, that it does look really good, but on console, all of that detail is completely lost. It's soft, and it ends up looking worse than last-gen games. Days Gone, Halo 5, and even the Outer Worlds look better. As far as the characters go and how they look, that's a bit of a mixed bag. Your character is a godlike, which is a person that was born touched by God. And when you're going through the character creator menu, I couldn't help but laugh because the very first thing that went through my mind is that you look like you're in Carnival. The human characters in the game, for the most part, do look pretty good, and I would say that they're on the same level as Starfield. But some of the characters in this game look like gremlins had a baby with a Furby that is all grown up. These things are creepy looking, and it just makes me want to set them on fire and boot them off of a cliff.
Ooh, hail to the king, baby.
Then there are these snake or fish-like people, and they look great. They look like Thane from Mass Effect 2, and the world is full of all kinds of different life forms. One thing I need to mention though, and that is the fact that they use gamma for a brightness adjustment. Whatever you do, don't change this setting from its default. You will distort your colors and ruin the picture quality. If you want to set it up, just adjust your TV settings for this game. Gameplay is usually Obsidian's strong point, with the choices and the freedom of what you can do in the game. Not so much in this one. Everything that we had in Outer Worlds, where you could just go around and do whatever you wanted to, is all gone here. You can't attack NPCs, and you can't just go and break into people's houses and just start stealing things. It's very limited in what you can do, which is probably the most disappointing thing about the game, besides the fact that I can't finish my playthrough until they patch it. It lacks that creative fun that you can have with other games like Elder Scrolls and the Outer Worlds. The game also has some control issues. It's kinda hard to turn. It feels almost like you're walking through mud when you're trying to turn your camera. It has some bad input latency on Xbox. And there are a few weird issues with combat that I think they would have been better off without. When you hit an enemy, it pauses and then passes through them. It's supposed to create that sense that you're making contact with the enemy, but instead it feels like the game is just stuttering. And the animations for walking around with the pistols are one of the dumbest looking things that I have ever seen in a game. You look like an inflatable flailing arm tube man with your arms stretched straight out in front of you just running. I have no idea what they were thinking with this animation, but they did it. There is one great mechanic in the game, and that is how they use the elements in the world. It's pretty rare in games and I love to see it. So if you have ice magic, you can freeze a layer on top of the water and use it to make your way across. And there are a lot of areas where you need to use electricity to power up a door, and you even need to burn bramble and other things to be able to pass through. I love these elements of the game because it does make the exploration more interesting. The combat is designed to be pretty challenging, and it has a lot of strategy to it. And it works when you're in a normal, small-sized encounter. But once you defeat the first group of enemies and you're trying to recover, others just spawn out of nowhere and come and attack you, and you usually end up having to fight 2 to 3 waves of enemies. You don't get a chance to take a break, and you can die easily from a back attack when you think everybody else has already been defeated. But once you get powered up and you get better gear and magic, it's not as much of a problem. But it is a real pain to think that you just won the battle and then all of a sudden you're hit in the back by an enemy that just popped out of a wall or a crack in the ground. Now, just a little bit more on the bugs. I've had sections of this game where there are supposed to be side quests and nobody is there. Or they are there and I can't speak to them. Then there are some that I'm supposed to be able to complete, but the option to turn it in isn't there. There's also this weird glitch that keeps happening where the sky flickers on and off, and these are common problems that ruin the overall experience of the game. And I think we gotta ask, is this just the Game Pass effect? It feels like they were just putting things on a checklist and tried to mark them off one by one, then outsource most of the work to somebody else. This does not feel like an Obsidian game, especially with the lack of creative choices that you have. When it comes to the dialogue, it is very boring, and the choices you get to make feel irrelevant from what I've got to play. I will say though that the music is really good. It seems like it's a straight ripoff from Elder Scrolls Oblivion, which is great because I love the music in Oblivion. But at the end of the day, even while the game does have some good moments and some good things about it, there is no way that I could ever recommend this game to anyone. I would say that if you are desperate and you have a good PC and Game Pass, maybe give it a shot. But if you are on a console, just avoid it. You will only be disappointed, especially when you get hit with a bug that won't let you finish the game. It's incredibly frustrating and irritating to be playing a game and then all of a sudden you're done because of a complete failure on their part to work out a bug like this. Something new for the channel, but this is the first time that I'm going to do a review score. If you want to know how I come to this number, check out the description. I have it listed how I broke everything down into weighted categories for the final score. And Avowed gets a 45. If you're playing it right now and you've experienced any of these bugs, let me know in the comments and tell me what your experiences have been with the game so far, because mine, while some parts were good, most of it hasn't been, and that sucks because I really wanted to enjoy this game. Thanks for watching. Would you kindly leave a like and subscribe, and I will talk to y'all later.